I
Yeah, man.
appreciate it.
So let's get started, man. So I
Yeah.
have this I have this body of work that I am just so eager to put out to the world. And I don't know if you ever if you listen to like Lil Wayne, No Ceilings,
Do I, bruh? Like
right?
monthly.
Right, you know what I'm saying? And like just like even like that whole like just whole Lil Wayne phase where and even just like mixtapes. It's just something about when people are rapping over your favorite rappers' beats. It's just some type of liberation, some type of freedom. It's actually very daunting too. It's like very like scary too because what I'm saying, you're putting yourself out there, you can do better or can't do better, right? And it's just all love because you're not gonna get paid for it because you can't get charged for the samples, right? So you know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
So it's just like all freedom. And that's literally like the whole point of it. It's called flow tape. It's called flow tape walking, right?
Mm.
And if you look at it, it's like it's like just a concept back getting back to the fundamentals, right? So flowing, right? Freestyling. There's this show called Rhythm and Flow that like really
Mm.
inspired this too. I don't know if you did you see that show with Cardi B and Chance the Rapper and T.I.?
Yeah, yo, it was where they had like the rappers and like the
Oh,
competition and the judges. Yeah, that shit was crazy.
one of the best shows ever when you talk about just like how to be a rapper 101. You know what I'm saying? I remember like the episode where they did the freestyle, right? The freestyle battle and how that was different from the performance and how that was different from like the video. And I remember the one scene when it was talking about the difference between like a punchline and a hook and a bar, right? And like all those in
Mm.
between, right? You know what I'm saying? And literally just from that inspiration and Lil Wayne, I was just like, you know what, man? I just want to use AI. I'm gonna just make my own fucking mixtape because I want to, and I got these demons that I want to talk about, and the whole concept is going to be about flow. So, what is your experience with flow, and why is flow so important for Black men, specifically Black men? And what I mean by that, there's this great episode, or excuse me, channel called Swamp Story. Ever heard it before?
No, I haven't.
So you got to
I'll
watch it,
check it out.
bro.
I got my notes up. I know I'm gonna leave here with some homework, bro. I got my
Yeah,
notes
man.
up to take notes on all the things.
Swamp
Swamp
Story is,
story.
is really dope, bro, because this is this guy, he just studies like all the gangs in the entire like black urban gangs specifically. And
Hmm.
he just really talks about how they use music to fuel their conflicts, or they use music as a medium of communication, or they use music really as expression. Because we know as just black men or men in general, we struggle with expression, we struggle with love, we struggle with empathy, we struggle with
Hmm.
showing those things. But there's something about that mic, you know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
AR Ab, when he was, working with under Cassidy, he thought he could be Cassidy, and he started rapping. Or Baby, you know what I'm saying? Just a drug dealer from, Holly Grove, right?
Yep.
Just started rapping.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yep.
something about that. My P. Diddy, you know what I'm saying? Despite all his allegations, right? This is something about that mic that black men in America, hip hop, right? MC, we just gravitate to. So flow and all that extra
Yeah.
shit. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. Bro, there's I mean, we can go back to our origins in this country with like the importance of like language, the importance of rhythm, the importance of like coded language and taking
Mm,
uh the oppressor's words with English and then manipulating it for us to understand in a specific way, and they can understand enough but not all of it, and like that has taken shape and form as we've iterated as society. And the most recent one is like hip-hop. Like, if it wasn't for genius.com, a lot of these people wouldn't know what the fuck these rappers are talking about, because you got people breaking down, and like it's so complicated, just whether it's from word choice, you include literary devices with imagery and simile and metaphor and symbolism. Like, these folks are geniuses.
yeah.
And like you said, there's something that when we get in front of a microphone, man, like something happens. Sometimes people shy away from it, but they also can like channel a thing. And I watch URL all the time, bro. Like, I go back and watch like rap battles from like 5, 6, 10 years ago, and you just watch these brilliant black men. And then URL started, they started to have like televised events with like black women and really like uplifting black women MCs and battle rappers.
Yeah.
But the origin of URLs was like black men with just like insane bars,
Mm.
like whether it was dissing, whether it was telling a story, whether it was telling a story while they dissing. Like there's a magic that happens with like specifically with like well, there's a magic that happens when we have the opportunity to express in our truest form. And
Mm.
that has been financially and monetarily most rewarded, I think, through music. Um, but I mean, you look at like black male teachers. Like, there's a reason why, whether you can see it or not, why but we got a horn sticking out of our foreheads, right? It's a unicorn. And when you walk into an effective black male teacher's classroom, it's unlike any other space. And it's like when we have the opportunity to channel all the things that we go through, all of the areas of love, joy, of history, of oppression, of hardship, of permanence. We got all of these things that are coming out, and then we can be ourselves in a space. It is unlike anything anyone has ever seen because we are products of conditions
Mm.
unlike anything that we have ever seen, whether that's currently or we just got to go a few generations back with our ancestors. And so, like, flow is very important because it's so counter to the
Right. Status
like
quo.
the like the status. That's it. Yes, thank you. It's so counter to the status quo. Like we are the status quo flow is like, let me close my eyes, let me sit on this raft, and wherever I get taken, as opposed to saying, no, I'm going to be intentional with these efforts. I'm going to put myself in an intentional mindset. I'm going to treat my body with intention. And the result of this alignment with mind, body, spirit is going to be something that can only come from me and my experiences. Can only like your flow,
Yeah.
while the way in which you get to it we might be able to mimic that, or you might have read something and watched the thing and then practice your own discipline to get you in that flow state. But your flow is going to look like you. And you talk about Lil Wayne when he gets into these flow states, like that's the reason why a lot of people consider him to be, I mean, he considers himself to be the best rapper alive. And when he came out with No Ceilings, it was like by flow in like the hip hop sense, like he doesn't have a hook on half of those tracks. It's just 4 minutes from
Just
start to finish
going.
on your favorite, just going, right? Like that's really hard to do. And yet it's natural for Lil Wayne because when he gets in the flow state, that's how it manifests. And so I think it's really important to talk about flow and also to like to create environments where we can be in that flow state, whether it's individually with our community with others.
I really appreciate you getting back to
Yeah.
the history, you know what I'm saying? Because that's just so important, you know, when we talk about like African people, the diaspora, right? You know, saying hip hop is our vehicle of expression when we are being disenfranchised. And so let's talk about it like on a more negative side. So, like, let's talk about like testosterone, right? And when we talk about like dialectics, right? When we talk about like death and like life, right? Those things are needed. And when we think about men, right? I think of Joe Gotti, and I don't know if you know like about the Young Dolph, and I'm getting back to like beef a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's something about controversy that either we are attracted to as just organisms, right? In order to have peace, or something about war that we gravitate to in order to have imperialism. But I feel like there's something about flow with that too. You know what I'm saying? So for example, you know, Yo Gotti, I don't know if you know like how he got popping. Do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't know his origin story.
Yeah, so his beef with Young Dolph is that pretty much he came out with a diss track towards 3 6 Mafia. So he dissed 3 6 Mafia. And when you
Young Dolph
watch,
did.
yeah, no. Yo
Okay.
Gotti.
No, yo, Gotti. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Got it.
So that's kind of how he like got popping. And
Oh,
if you think of like 50 Cent, right? You know what I'm saying? Like what is 50? He's like the master of beef, right? It's
yeah.
just you know, Dirk, right? When you think of like everything that goes on with, you know, that Chicago culture, right? It's just like you kill mines, I kill yours, you kill mines, I kill yours. And it gets
Mm-hmm.
in this state of, bro, why are you killing each other? You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't be killing each other, but this is like my flow is different from your, you know what I'm saying? What's going on with me, you can't understand unless you in my shoes. And so you can't judge me. I'm gonna do what I need to do, right? And this gang culture, right, is so powerful, right? So just like it's kind of like talk about like how much is like testosterone or like just like do men need to fight in order to be in flow? Do we need to destroy in order to be in flow?
Mm. So I agree. There's something about like the appeal and the attractiveness of violence. It's America's number one export, right? If you look at economically, we are defense weapons, like we are the number one arms. Like violence is a part of this country. We've been at
Yeah.
war since 1776 to present day. There's only been like 12 or 13 years where we haven't been in like a declared war. Like we fight in this country, and so you look at UFC, one of the most popular, fastest rising, right? Like we like violence. We like
Watch
seeing people
wrestling.
fight. Uh, Wrestling, I grew up watching wrestling. Fake or not, you watching people hurt each other. Football, we're watching people. The most popular of the biggest sports, the big sports in here in this country, is violence, and so
Yeah.
there's an attractiveness to that. Um, so a couple weeks ago, for everybody listening, I live in California, and there's certain that are legal in this state. So everything I'm talking about is legal.
Mm.
And I put on Project Baby 2 by Kodak Black. And I never listened to that album start to finish. Okay. And one of the things that happened from the combination of this, I was smoking, it's called Cryptochronic. Like Cat Williams, like the Cryptochronic kind of like. It was that.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Kodak Black, and I was listening from an ear and a lens that I didn't expect to come so naturally, but it was simply as like an observer, because Kodak Black was talking about his life. Yeah. He wasn't asking you to judge his life. He wasn't saying this right or wrong. He's saying this is who Kodak Black is. And if you want to understand more of how he came to be, listen to what he's saying and look at the environment that he's growing up in and that he was produced in. And so we look at these hip hop artists, especially these young cats, like they be keeping score like it's a video game with body counts. These are mostly young men, some young women. Right. They're shooters. They're toted in the hood as this is like Fox News is like this is why we need to control black people type narrative, completely neglecting the fact of the environment that they're growing up. We can't ignore context, and we can't ignore environment, and we can't ignore history, even as it's happening currently. And so if we look at it from an observing standpoint, like these young men, these hip hop artists, these rappers, when they rap about beef, when they rap about it's different back in the day when 50 and Ja were going back and forth, and 50 Cent like kind of ended Ja Rule's career. Now these kids, because they're like kids, bro. Yeah. They're young, and maybe at oldest, young adults. They're talking about either future murders that happen or recent past murders that just happened, to the point where cops are using lyrics to actually solve murder cases that happened to these cats down in Jacksonville. Like it's a different form of like lyrics. And so if we look at it as like, yo, this is what's happening, and remove like the judgment from it, what is the container and what are the context that are allowing not just this to happen, but for it to be encouraged and rewarded with likes, with views, with bullshit record label contracts where somebody, they skyrocket to the top of the streams. All of a sudden you got the record labels coming in trying to swoop them up and get their have them be locked into some pretty probably trash deals that will have their what's it called? When you own the masters of their own lyrics or of their songs taken and owned by somebody else. Like, it's a predatory system that produces predators. If it's a predatory system, it's a violent system in a violent container that produces violence. Right. But we love in this country when a black body is in pain. We love that. That's as American as you can get. And so to see it with young people and to see how celebrated it is, to where it's like, yeah, they talk about their life because these are kids that are being killed and killing. And I've been fortunate enough to not have any of my best friends and my close friends get killed, but I've worked in schools as you've worked in schools, and we see the impact of a murder of a child that has on an entire community. It's understandable why there's rage associated with that. And if the messaging that you're sold and the way in which your actions are rewarded is by perpetuating that violence, like that's what's going to happen. And so environment is very important when it comes to flow, like flow states. And maybe this environment produces flow states that perpetuates violence because it's a violent environment.
Exactly.
So we want to fix that. Let's change the environment, right? Like, but that requires planning, that requires resources, that requires time. Not like we're going to fix it in a school year. Like we're going to fix this over 5, 10, 12, 15 years, because it took, for Black men, it took about, I don't know, 400 years to get here with this environment. Right. So like, I think there's an opportunity to interrogate the environments and the contexts that are enabling and encouraging this behavior, instead of just saying like, yo, Dirk out here causing havoc. King Von got killed because of this. Like, these are products that we fixate on, as opposed to kind of like we're looking at what's after the equal sign and nothing before it. That's the only math analogy I'm gonna give in this whole conversation.
I hope these questions aren't too like, esoteric, but you're the perfect person for them, man. So
please, bro, please, I love it. Yes,
these questions, and so I think about like, Mr. Morale, right? Kendrick, he's talking about like, I feel less of like, Mr. Morale, I feel more like Kodak Black, and when he said that, he got a lot of controversy because, Kodak Black is controversial. But there's some truth to that, right? Like you talk about different flow states or different dense networks that people make in order to survive, or people are products of their environments that they just already get engulfed in. And when you think of flow, right, think of current, right? You have strong currents, you have really weak currents, you have currents you can withstand, and you have currents that if you're born in it, you're going to you have to go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? And you talk about changing systems, that's not easy. You can't change the flow off jump. You can't just jump in a riptide and expect you to control the force of that. No, it's going to control you. You're going to get engulfed in it. And so it's really important to make sure you understand delivery and tone. So let's talk about delivery, right? And so you talked about like how like the 90s, or like kind of like the commercialization of hip hop, it was kind of like it was faking the flow. I'm gonna act like this. I'm gonna pretend that I'm a gangster. When low key is Jay Prince, that's the real gangster, and I'm just getting the bars from him, and I'm gonna just sound like him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so it's gonna come off very appealing. Where now, no, these is really saying what they're saying, but the delivery is still the same, right? And that's what we gravitate for. So I got this lyric in one of my songs called "Another One." Is like, my kids want to graduate just to play for a night. I switched to the flow. That shit ain't right? So switching the flow, just understanding like if you're gonna play Fortnite, then I gotta switch the flow up so you can understand you're not about to graduate to play Fortnite. You gotta graduate to go to college or do something else. But in order to do that though, you have to switch the flow up. You gotta be able to explain it, the delivery, right? So how important is like delivery and education? How important is delivery when we talk about saving lives? Like we talking a little meta now, right? So because you listen to Kodak Black not just because of the words, you listen because how he sounds. You listen to his tone.
Right.
When he says like, you know what I'm saying? Like what he says, it's not because of the words, it's because of the tone. It's the this. So like, delivery. Like, why is that so important, right?
So I think like tone, verbal, nonverbal, all that part of community. Like, look at Tupac. Tupac's delivery, Tupac's voice, like it might be the most underrated aspect of his entire
repertoire,
like public facing, repertoire, right? Because he's more than just a hip hop artist. You watch him in interviews. Look at his delivery in interviews versus when he's rapping. It's different, but it's effective. And that's what like delivery means. Like if you're gonna deliver something, I'm gonna deliver it to you, Calvin Nellum, different than I'm gonna deliver it to somebody else because I want it to be effective. And I know how to talk with you. You know how to talk with me. This is gonna be different based off again context, identity, experiences. I
Yeah.
want what I'm saying to be effective. There's also a sense of delivery where it's like the conductor. So if I want you to feel a thing, I'm gonna deliver it in a way where you're gonna feel that thing. So think about like you look at Kendrick with Not Like Us, right? I think we might come back to Kendrick a few times in this conversation. You look at Not Like Us, then you look at Meet the Grams, right? Like Not Like Us is one of the best songs I think in years when it comes to it has the hook, it got the voice, it got the bars, it got the diss, it got the beat, it got the dance. It like man, like what a track. Then look at Meet the Grams. My man, the way that I envision Kendrick rapping Meet the Grams is with him kind of leaning forward in the armchair being like, you know, like it's a different delivery because he wants us to feel a different way. It's the same thing in a classroom where if you really want to nail a point home, you're gonna use certain language. Bro, I've told people this.
Yeah, man.
I cite it every time. You said something to me that like changed the way I look at profanity because I use it liberally. And I remember you said when you tell kids about profanity, you reorient it to say that these are powerful words. And so if you're going to use powerful words, use them with purpose. You're not saying don't use it, but if you stand up from your desk, you're just like, shit, like, nah, come on, like there's other words here. Like that's inappropriate language, inappropriate words, inappropriate use of power in that situation. But if I stub my toe, I'm just like, shit. Like, yeah, that's visceral and that's appropriate. And so being intentional with your delivery to be effective and also to evoke the type of emotion that you want within people. And so the delivery of the youngins now, like it's raw and it sounds raw and it's super unique. Like they rap in pockets of beats where I'm just like, yo, like this is like,
it's unconventional.
How are you doing it?
It's unconventional.
Yeah, like how are you doing it? It sounds different. It makes me move different.
Yep.
Because of their delivery. It makes me think differently.
It's like, put you on the back row, on the sin no. Rigging on the cinema, on the men no.
Right. Like instead of doing like the there's pauses in different places. There's like you said in your example, you literally switch. You say you're switching the flow, and then you switch the flow to get people to switch their flow. Right. Like you talk about an entendre, like just in one bar, which I'm really excited for your tape to come out, bro. I can't wait for it to come out. I'll be patient and won't ask for an early sample, but you guys send it to me because you know I'm not on socials like that. But like delivery is so key because it's for people who use our voice as instruments and our words as kind of instruments. Like the delivery is our conduct. Like I said, we're conducting, and to be intentional with it is crucial. And we also don't have to always judge other people's. We can try to figure it out. And that's what I try to do when listening to like this new style of hip hop and the youngins. It's so different where it's like, I need to figure this shit out. I need to figure out where they getting this from. Yeah, like man. This beat and this cadence, I wouldn't have put them together. Yeah. But this kid saw this. This young man saw this, right? So yeah, bro, it's one of the most important aspects of any type of communication. But if you're going to include music, you're going to include message, like delivery matters, man.
And so let's talk about like KOD. So like, why was that so impactful?
Talk about Cole?
Yeah, man. Cause that was literally like the entire point of it, right? I think he said, it was a lot of stuff. He said, I mean, even like the first song, KOD, he's literally like, he's taking their flow and just literally like flipping it and just like really being conscious and showing you like, you know, mumble rap. And he was putting homage to mumble rap too. Like mumble rap is an art in itself. Yeah. So I can do it, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's not like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. What's your thought on KOD? He didn't I don't think he got the credit he deserved, you know?
Hell no, bro. So when I was teaching night school at JRLA, I taught KOD. That was one of like the anchor pieces of text
Cool.
With KOD, and so because like one of the acronym KOD, it stands for multiple things, I think, but one of them was Kids on Drugs. And
Yep.
so
And
I
King
don't think that
Overdose.
was a King Overdose, right? Like, and
Hmm.
that's the excuse me, the album art. And so I really liked like Kendrick because he had the little situation. I think it was before that with like Corday, and they had a little beef talking about like you an old head telling young heads what to do, and we got our own way and all that stuff. If nothing else, man, it introduced a dialogue, and you don't see a
Right.
lot of older rappers.
Yeah, he had
Not
an
to say
interview
that
with Lil Pump.
it's like the little pump interview, right. And like again, you're bridging gaps. I'm reading this book called Teaching to Transgress by Bell Hooks. And one of the things she talks about is the requirement of dialogue in order to further teaching. And the dialogue has to be across differences. And it's not to say that we're going to agree on everything, but it's to say that you need to hear from me and I need to hear from you what these differences are. And we can do this in a respectful and cordial way. Even if people had opinions about the interview about how J. Cole was dominating the airtime and da 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 da, I didn't see prior to that any older artists like a J. Cole trying to utilize the new way of hip hop and the new flows for an entire album.
Yep.
To utilize the beats, because he produced it, I believe, his own set, like to try to utilize the beats of the time, the flow of the time. Like that's an exercise and a stretch for any artist to depart from your traditional flow and then to jump into a completely different one while maintaining strong delivery and strong message. And so I think KOD, I like that album. I revisit that album pretty frequently, actually. And I get why people hated on it because they were explicit with what they hated about it, what they didn't like about it. But again, like approaching it kind of with an open mind and a clean slate and trying to understand what the artist was attempting to do with that art, it removes the critical lens, at least looking at it from a critical lens first, and trying to look at it with more an inquiry and an understanding lens.
Even when he put Young Thug on the tour,
right? Let's look at the album, and then let's look at like the cultural impact of the album and the conversations and the actions that ensued from that piece of work because it was deemed controversial. And I'm like, are y'all listening to I think these are bangers. I think these are worthy of being taught to young people. Yeah, that's how good I thought that album was. And so like I marvel at somebody like him.
Yeah, he made the boom
like
bap
that on a whole album.
He made the boom bap dudes work harder. He's like, y'all gotta work harder. You can't just be like 1, 2, 3, I'm in university. No, you gotta be like 1, 2, 3, university. I gotta come back and with a C. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have energy, bro. And that like, and he just he did it so flawlessly. He's like, I grew up with fluid. He said, I grew up with few of the love. My homie got pharmaceutical plug. I'm shooting this name. I'm gonna shooting the name. Like just going in, bro.
Like I'm pulling up the track list right now, bro. Yeah,
Photograph.
Hey, Kevin's Heart. Brackets. My man had this shit about taxes on here, educating us about how the taxes work.
And even that flow, he's like, using that. I'm gonna be an average use of that. It's all the flow, all those flows.
Yo, so one of the things, as you're saying this, one of the things that I'm realizing, especially with mumble rap, that this light bulb just went off, is like the use of pausing and the use of silence as a part of your flow. Because it gives us an opportunity to think. Because like mumble rap by definition is not the most standardly articulated form of music. You gotta you're either listening for the words or you're using words almost like an instrument where it's like it doesn't matter what I'm saying. Like Young Thug and Gunna using that with melodies in it. Or
diamonds like, in the goop.
Right.
Ooh,
right.
I was in the hoop. Ooh, I was in a Robin. I did the jacket. Now I'm full rapping. Like what I just say? I just said full rapping, but you know the whole thing.
Bro, and I'm nodding my head to it. And like you're giving me an opportunity to digest, right? Like it's there's just because a thing is new and just because a thing is unique and just because it comes from young people, especially young Black people, we often write it off as like not expert or not top notch or not intellectual. yeah, right. Like, how dare you use the term intellectual with young black people doing something that we've never seen before? Like, intellectualism is reserved for ivory towers. It's reserved for white male patriarchy. It's reserved
Right.
for rich. And to be able to look at these young kids who are doing something that's never been done with music, all the history of music, and they're doing it in a way that has never been done. And it's coming out of the traps in Detroit and Chicago and
Right.
Florida and Houston and Oakland and like New York, like the whole drill scene, London, right? I've been getting into London drill. I don't know what they talk about, bro. It sounds so cold to me,
Yeah, man.
right? Like just
And they been popping.
there's they've been popping, man. I just don't. I never crossed the pond, if you will.
Yeah, bro.
But I am drinking some tea, so that's. But like, it's there's
Was that your English
there's a yeah, that's so bad. I'll be out here trying to. I'm like, I have a spot of tea.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
drinking my tea from my. It's bad, yo. Somebody was like,
Oh,
"What is that?
Lord.
What is that accent?" I'm like, it's my
You
accent.
sound like you're Australian. But nah, man. But
um,
so what we talking about, man? This is some dope, deep conversation, man. Yeah, man.
but yeah,
Definitely
man.
listen to
So I
bro.
think one of the things that's been like real heavy on my mind recently, and it's a part of because of the work that I currently do within education. It's like I'm really interrogating and really looking into programs and looking at whether it's university or alternative route, like how teachers are prepared and how teachers are prepped, um,
Mm,
and how so often we like to point the finger at the education system. We like to point the finger at teachers. We like to point the finger at kids. We like to point the finger at poverty. We like to point the finger, and it's not to say that all these don't deserve observation, awareness, resources, and intervention.
yeah.
With the exception of like kids, like they need supports and resources. Like that's where the buck stops, right? But I feel like these teacher prep programs, I'm not hearing them in the conversation when it comes to like changing and shifting education.
Mm,
Um, and I'm curious. I'm curious into like what's happening because I was prepared through an alternative route, through
right.
TFA, through that
Right.
crash course, 6 week summer bullshit. And then they're like, ready, go set, get ready, set, teach. And like that's woefully insufficient. And uh but like the product of the 4 year university graduates who have teaching degrees, and in California, you have to have a master's degree on aggregate. I can't say that the way in which we're educating teachers in any capacity is
Right.
preparing them to teach youth today with
Yeah.
the technology, with the mindsets, with the awareness, with the strengths, with the areas of growth, like with the current conditions, with how to navigate curriculum, how to navigate interactions with parents and build community, how to effectively resist trash policy, how to effectively encourage good policy from your seat as a team. Like, there's so many things that I feel like we could be learning, and because I didn't go through the traditional route, I'm taking more of like a learning stance to see like what are the curriculums, if I can get in front of some deans or some leaders of programs. Like, I'm interested to see. And one of the things I've noticed is a lot of, especially university backed programs,
Yeah.
once you graduate, they're done. Like, there's no sort of engagement. There's no sort of like, I ain't saying that they got to track data. Like, it's not all about data tracking, but like that's where they stop. And that's a very clear, like, thick line between and a distance to where they could say, we just get them out there. What they do with it is on them, as opposed to saying we're preparing them the best that we can. And so, I mean, bro, like I read The Fugitive Pedagogy by Jarvis Givens. I just finished up Bettina Love's new joint, Punished for
Nice.
Dreaming.
Nice.
Bell Hood. I've had I've been into books recently because that's what my spirit was needing. It needed to be filled with some of these authors, and like uh I don't know if it's ever been done well, like teacher preparation in this country. So like I'm curious to learn more about it.
Yeah, man. So Michigan is definitely like trying to really like be innovative with that. We are really making it easier for people to become teachers. We're paying for teachers to become teachers. We're making, national board certification more incentivized. So if the teachers get their national board certification, they'll get $10,000. They're paying for like
Mm,
loan forgiveness. And this is all like within like the last couple of years, like ever since COVID, you know what I'm saying? Because we got an equity grant
yeah.
where now all schools are equitably being funded, right? But the issue is still, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not listening to each other, and we're also in our own silos doing all different things. And so when we think about equity, it's going to look different in so many different other places, right? And so it's just really like us coming like Donald Trump and them niggas coming all together on one flag and saying let's do this. It's the same thing for education, bro. Like we have to come
Right.
all on one fort and be like, this is trash. Our kids hate
Right.
school. Kids are dropping out. Computer science is hard to
Right.
teach black kids. Math is hard to teach when you don't have pictures. Teachers
Right.
hate teaching when they're not getting paid and working too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many
Right.
different things. And so, but it's simple though. And so really what it is for me, right? Is just like joy, right? Just having fun. I got the opportunity to go to Ron Clark Academy. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
How
bro.
was that?
And it was amazing, man. Like he's a real teacher. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he still teaches,
Mm,
he still runs the school. But like in the end of the day, bro, like it's just like, you know, it's just good ass teaching. It's like A+ people coming together, just like Steve Jobs to make the iPhone. But the iPhone is the kids, and it's just
yeah.
like I am we mentality, 1% mentality. Everybody has to be involved from the kids to the staff to the parents, right? Everyone from the custodian to the bus drivers, like we all have to be on one page, right? But it has to be joyful. We have to have fun. We got to be lit. We got to have
Yeah.
energy. We gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like we was talking about delivery. Like I got this lyric. It's like, I don't need no stun double. I'm real in both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, like I gotta be, like you said, I gotta bring that energy in different places, right? For the state. And now we like, we're giving for like advice,
Wow.
and it's just like the first meeting they're just talking about bureaucracy, they're talking about politics, they're talking about like what not to say, they're talking about like don't be mad if they're not looking at you and they're on their phones while you're talking. I'm just like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, do you not know who you talking to? When I speak, everyone has to look at me, and you telling me I have to get used to some people that's not even educators not looking at me to talk about education so they can fund education?
Bro. Hell nah, bro. Backwards. Backwards.
That's the
Like
first
what do we
meeting,
talk?
Layman.
What do we like it's like there's a reason why these schools aren't joyful places. Like the evidence shows kids aren't banging with it, adults aren't banging with it, administrators aren't banging with it, families ain't banging with it, and yet we try so hard to uphold this system as it is. Like what? Come on.
And get this. So we got like like a presentation, just pretty much like just how like the Department of Education works. Pretty much, bro, it's just like three people divided up into nine different departments running three different departments at once. So it's just like no wonder like we got bad retention. Y'all got bad retention, you know what I'm saying, at the network. And it's just like it's all bureaucracy though. Cause it's like they have to keep that. They can't be like lovey-dovey. They have to be all politics or all it's professional, of course. But you know what I'm saying? So it's just like y'all understaffed, no one really gives a fuck, you underpaid, and we gotta solve this the hardest job ever, equity education.
Right.
What?
Right. Right.
You know,
Like
but
it's I've been so there's a question that I ask often is like, all right, so where do we as a collective, specifically of like Black educators, and then where do I as an individual, like where's the interjection point?
we gotta be like
Like if we
Tupac, bro.
doing what? I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that. Like,
We
yeah,
gotta be
let's take
Tupac. We gotta be
the-
change agents. We have to be
yeah,
like really like we have to be change agents in the political side. We have to be change agents
yeah,
outside actively. We gotta be change agents in the classroom. Like we gotta be just like we can't just be teachers. You know what I'm saying? Like we
right,
have to, and not always say like whenever we experience like things that we don't agree with, we gotta attack it. But we have to be like diligent. We have to be vocal. We have to come with
yeah,
that energy. You know what I'm saying? We gotta embellish. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they playing us, bro. Like they literally trying to play us.
bro.
Trump literally trying to come in and destroy the Department of Education. When you a C average student, bro. Like, come on, dog.
Dog,
Like,
dog.
come on,
You
bro.
could. He needed better teachers.
You a C
Like you
student
try
trying to
you They also trying to reduce and destroy Title One funding, right?
because they racist. You know what I'm
Like
saying?
just straight
Like,
up, if this administration, we ain't got to go down the political route, but like if this
no, we don't.
administration gets put in place, like there are going to be some major shifts within education across the country, with the, like you said, the funding of the Department of Education, um, institute. Like we see what they're doing in the South with mandating like I'm sorry, the Ten Commandments being put up in
Yeah, it's like the
classrooms.
slave
Like,
laws and shit.
eh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you gonna underfund me for 20 years,
yeah,
40 years, and then threaten me to give
right,
me a even whack ass education that was before, and then you want me to be like, okay, I'm gonna vote. No, I'm gonna talk my
yeah,
ish.
right,
I'm gonna
right,
say it loud. I'm gonna let you
right,
know I ain't proud. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And we gotta be like
right.
Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Thug life. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. Bro, next meeting you get to the legislators, bro, come in with that thug, thug life. Just put your shirt up. Be like, you gonna see me today.
What do you
You
say
know?
thug life stand for again? He said the hate you
Like
give.
the
No.
hate you give. That's a book.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. They made that a book. Let me see this. Thug life. Uh, what's it mean? It says the hate you give little infants, everybody.
yeah,
All right,
right.
cool. That's it. Yeah, but like, yo, like the fact, thug, like, bro, thug life is about education, man. Like, it's about education. Like, walk in there, man. You ain't got to get the tattoo. Just write it in Sharpie. But like, let them know the hate
Right.
that you all give, and the hate doesn't have to be
Yes.
with words. It's with the policies and the practices. It's
Right.
with the dehumanization, like you said. They have a very clear curtain of bureaucracy and this idea of professionalism that they have to embody and perpetuate in order to be taken seriously. I'm gonna take you seriously if there's relatability, if there's connection, if there's intellect, if there's strategy, if there's alignment. Like if you
Research.
know what you're talking, if there's research. Like that's what I'm gonna take you seriously with. How you talk. If somebody doesn't take me seriously because of how I talk, they're dumb. And I'm okay with saying that because your mind prioritizes unimportant things. You can't get past a dialect. You can't get past certain vernacular. You can't understand if you don't understand 100% of what I say, you think I'm dumb. That is the most ass backwards thing I've ever heard in my life. You're acknowledging you don't understand
Right.
and then calling the person that you don't understand less intelligent. No, no.
Yeah,
So
man.
like, so where are you? Do you have a community of educators that you kind of rock with out there? And if so, like, how did that community kind of come to be? Because it can be isolating, especially if you're advocating for change and doing things differently. Like, do you have you got people out there that kind of rock with you in the same light?
I mean, it's just like, every, black man, I walk around, knowing everyone has a 1 day expiration date. You know what I'm saying? And so with that mindset, like I give myself grace if I get disappointed. But honestly, bro, it's just really being like my mama. Like my mama was a teacher. She commanded the room. She said good morning, everybody. Like she was just a good person. I was a people person. Like teachers were people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say yeah because I'm my ultimate self unapologetically. Like even now, I got this award. I've gotten better as a teacher. I'm a middle school teacher now. Like so, I've definitely gotten better as a teacher. And so like people are just automatically like curious about what I got going on, want to be a part of it, right? Or they just automatically respect it because they know I can teach. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, man. And DOS is going to be like one of the best schools. We already one of the best art schools in Detroit. But as far as
Mm-hmm.
like equity, like we're bringing a lot of systems that we took from Ron Clark. Like we're going, bro. We're like, we about to have fun. Teachers about to like we paying teachers now. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we doing a lot of stuff that we have never seen. You know what I'm saying? But that's what dreamers like. That's what unicorns do. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you can't define it. And so yeah, man. And I think the way that I got about it was just like staying to the mission. When you first met
Mm-hmm.
me, it's still the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Just
Mm-hmm.
excellent education for black kids, right? And being around the same people that that want that. And so when Wendy left, I left. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
When you left, I was like, oh, we still got Wendy.
Yeah. That was,
When Wendy left, I'm
yeah.
like, okay, now I got to figure out another route. But if I
Yeah.
never took that leap, I would have never got nominated for Teacher of the Year. And if I wouldn't have got nominated Teacher of the Year, you know what I'm saying, I would have probably never reached the potential that I would never thought I could. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really just like embracing change, not getting comfortable, right? Embracing great leadership. I have amazing leadership, man. And I just don't these people for 1 year. You know, they can turn on me next
Mm.
week, but I'll turn on them faster.
I'm about to say that'd be an ill-advised career choice on their end. That's where they go.
But
So
yeah,
you
man.
say
Go ahead, brother.
what's you said that you're gonna have a new role this year? Is
Yeah,
that
so
within
I'm a model
guys or is
teacher
it
now. Yep, so I'm a model teacher now. So that
finally?
means that you know, I'm doing the same thing if I was doing at Jalen Rose. I'm just getting paid more, right? But it's just
Good.
like more power, more ability to move things. Like we about to have a black male affinity group, you know what I'm saying, try to help out this, you know, this black male mental health. I want my boys to be themselves. I want them to love themselves. You know, I want them to be leaders, right? Because our women or non-binary, or you know, they
Mm.
want people to lead them. You know what I'm saying? And they our men are leaders. You know what I'm saying? They just you know, they're boys. So, you
Mm.
know, I want to develop that, man. And I love my job, bro. So it's just
Yeah,
really like just really, 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 really doing what I can to just get better at it every single day, man. I'm a student of the game, you know me.
yeah.
But that's why I hate
Do
this
you
full
have
take. Go ahead, brother.
uh, do you have like a do you like the Calvin Nellum school of teaching black excellence? Like you got like do you have like your because it's easy for me, like even when I was a dean and I go into your classroom, like it was easy to see that like Nellum's classroom is different than insert other teachers who I think you know who I can
Yeah.
mention, but I won't.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
a different vibe, it was a different feel, different approach, different energy. The kids responded differently. It was very much like an oasis in a lot of ways. And so have you do you play if you have you codified like kind of like what makes your teaching you outside of like you like I'm not trying to
Yeah, I
separate
have.
like your ability and your body and your mind and the package that is Calvin Nellum. It can never
Yeah,
be replicated.
I have.
But like have you put some like okay you have like
Yeah, I
what
think
are some of
so.
like the
It's a
tenets that you
puzzle. It's a puzzle. It's just a
yeah
puzzle. It's just a puzzle. So it's like I'm like the puzzle orchestra. So like the puzzle is just like the solution. So if you get the puzzle, then that's like the goal. But in order to get to the puzzle, everyone has to know their right spot. Everyone has a different fit. So my goal as the constructor is to make sure, like, if I have a class, I'm putting everybody in their right spots, and I'm allowing them to fit in their puzzle. And I'm gonna just let you know your spot is your spot. You the best at your
yeah
spot. Because if you go to a different person's spot, you ever put a piece of puzzle in a different spot? What
don't
happens?
fit
Some of it
don't
will.
fit
Some of it will though. If you try, some of it actually will, but part of it
if you
won't.
force it
Right,
yeah
if you force it, but that's not where you're supposed to be. You understand? So my
right
goal, my job, and what I've learned as educator and equity when we talk about education, right? That's why it's important to include people, right? Because
yeah
everyone is a genius. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like what we build, what we produce, and like what we create, and the relationships we build is really the product of that genius. And so, like, how can I create culture where I have my non-binary people feeling inclusive? I got my women feeling inclusive. I got my men feeling inclusive. I got them feeling like leaders. I got them speaking up. I got them loving each other. I got them promoting each other. I got them arguing with each other. I got them having conflict resolution with each other. It's community, building community. You know, so
yeah
circles, really, bro, just using circles, dog. Like I've been really learning how to use circles to really build community.